Started. I'll wait to you. Very good. Welcome, everyone. So happy that some of you have been able to join us live for today, and I know that many of you will be catching the replay. So, welcome, everyone. I am absolutely delighted to introduce you all today to Jana because I literally have goosebumps. This woman is amazing. When I first got to meet her in a mastermind we were both part of a few years ago, I was just blown away. Everything that that she was sharing, I thought, oh wow, I really resonate with that, and I wanted to learn more, and I wanted to learn more. And I have quite a passion for mindset, and I am very big on movement, being a world champion in karate. But I wanted to learn a lot more about the metabolism side as well that Jana brings to the table. And you would think that somebody world champion in a sport would know all things movement until I did a session with Jana, and I was going, oh my goodness, there is just a whole new level that Jana can share with us about movement. And you do not have to be at an elite level or even want to be at an elite level. Jana knows how to work with everybody where you're at, and that is just priceless. But I think too often these days we have the problem that we compartmentalize our health and we think, all right, I'm going to get health because I'm going to go on some crazy diet, or I'm going to get healthy because I'm going to run 5 kilometers every day. And we set ourselves up for failure, and we're not looking at health from a more holistic perspective. And that's where Jana comes in, because you're going to love her philosophies that she's going to share, and the way that she thinks about health. And I know that when you do your personalized inventory, you'll be blown away, and it really is going to highlight areas to work on. I know it did for me. I thought I was doing really well until I identified some things in here. I thought, oh, that's an area of opportunity. So I can't wait. I will stop talking and hand over to the amazing international best-selling Pilates guru and all around amazing lady, Jana Danielson. So over to you, beautiful lady.
Oh, Christine, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I actually am really excited because this is my very first, and I know that Christine has a global community, but this is the first time that I have been focused in on taking the virtual stage with a group of, I think, who are mostly Australians, I at least think. So I'm pretty excited about that, and already am like putting it out to the universe that this will be an in-person experience very shortly. I have never been to Australia and would love to. So um, I am I'm humbled to be here today. I mean, meeting Christine almost 4 years ago now, we had this instant connection, like she said. We really became, you know, global besties because we share a lot of our same values and belief systems when it comes to family and being moms and entrepreneurs. And so I want to take just 2 minutes to introduce myself so you can get a sense of who's here in front of you. And then we're going to get into the masterclass itself. So we're going to like literally roll up our sleeves. If you didn't get a chance to print out the inventory worksheet, that's okay. You can look at it on your phone if you want. But why I created this is because I want this masterclass, the value of this masterclass to live on. I don't want you to, turn off your phone or shut your computer, or if you're watching the replay, one and done. Metabolic health is kind of it is a newer term. It really took, leaps and bounds in 2024. And metabolism, like when I was younger, I always believed that when you're young, your metabolism is high, you can eat whatever you want, and you're still going to look great, feel great. When you get older, your metabolism just naturally slows, right? Because you get into perimenopause and there's all these And that's not actually true. All right. We are learning so much about metabolic health. And I do have a stat that I want to share to frame this before I get into a little bit about me is, and it is a North American stat, but and I'm Canadian, by the way, living in Mexico. So this is my actual background. It's not a virtual background. My husband's in Canada right now, back at he has his business is still back in Canada, and it was like snowing. It was like dark at 9 in the morning when I talked to him. It was dark at 4 in the afternoon, and I'm like, oh, okay, better you than me. So, um, this North American stat, but I do feel like, Australians are very similar in our lifestyles, and 93% of North Americans are metabolically unhealthy. All right, and we're going to dive into what that exactly means. So that's a huge stat because if you reframe that, it means that 7% of North Americans are metabolically healthy. And what does that mean? All right. As a woman who just turned 51 last month, I have big plans for my health. And, I just want to mention one thing. Dr. Mindy Pels is like she's one of my sheroes. She's a mentor. She is in the world of fasting. She wrote an amazing book called Fast Like a Girl and now a cookbook called Eat Like a Girl. And she has a home in the Pacific Palisades, which we know in Los Angeles what has happened over the last 72 hours. And I saw her on a live today on Instagram, and she was talking about her experience. She actually evacuated 3 times. And you know what really resonated with me? She said, we spend all this time accumulating things, right? Things that others in society have told us or that we believe mean something. They give us status. We have closets full of things. Um, and yet she said 3 times over the past 72 hours, the only thing that was important to me was my family and my health. And so she said this has completely shifted my perspective, and health, as we know, you can't outright buy it. You get one body. We don't come with replacement parts. And so I want to show you a different way of looking at your body that maybe you haven't before. And when we get through this hour together, there will be some pieces of what I share that will resonate, and there will be some pieces that might not. And here's what I want to encourage you to do. All this information that's coming at you, the pieces that resonate, I would love to invite you to understand that there's a reason they're resonating. They might make sense to you. You might think, oh, I could do that. Really? All this all I have to do is that, right? And then when with that information that resonates, you start living it, it becomes wisdom and you share it with your families, your communities, and that's how we shift that stat, that 93% of metabolic unhealth. All right. So at 21 years old, so literally 30 years ago, I was in the worst health that I've ever been in. I was on 11 different medications. For about the 4 years prior, I had undiagnosed digestive issues that turned into whole body pain, aches, and pains. I had incontinence at 21 years old, never had a baby. I didn't know what was going on because I thought that was just for women in menopause or if you just had a baby. Became very good at living this double life because on the outside, I did my best to look healthy. I still went to work every day. I most of those years were me going through my business degree in university where I taught fitness for extra money. And I literally became two different people, so much so that even like my parents and my then fiance, now husband, really didn't understand the degree of the unhealthiness in my life. And I went to my doctor one day and she pulled my file out and she opened it and then she closed it. And I was like, aren't we going to talk about the next steps, the next specialist I have to see? And she looked at me right in the eyes and she said, Jana, we believe the pain is in your head and you're seeking attention. And there's nothing more we can do for you. Have a nice life. And she took my file and walked out of her office and left me there. And that day, when I look back to that day, I was in tears. The next 6 months were like the dark night of my soul. I was in a deep, deep depression and newly engaged, didn't know why should I marry this man and give him a lifetime of a wife that I didn't know if I could have children. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so 6 months after that day, I found Pilates. went to my first Pilates class, and 4 months after that, I was off all 11 medications, had no idea how movement and breathing, posture could actually heal me in 4 months, what traditional medical system doctors could not do in 4 years. And so I come to you with knowledge of that, of being at my lowest point, of hating the body I lived in, of not loving the person that I was, knowing what pain feels like. So for anybody here who might, think otherwise, that is not the case. So I have been there, I've done that. And then if that wasn't enough, God gave my mom a pain journey, of a nerve pain journey. So I've been through the nerve pain cycle. And then our middle son was granted a pain journey when he had a wakeboarding accident at 14 years old. So these three experiences for me, and I'll use my son as an example, the solution our doctor had for all of his gut pain, he couldn't go to school, he was losing weight. He wanted to put him on antidepressants. That was his solution. And so I love to help women understand that the body that maybe is disappointing them, that feels like a really poor pair of fitting jeans, that you might feel very disconnected from, there are some very simple ways to start to reconnect. And because it's the new year, this Health Makeover Masterclass, I wanted to reposition this concept of New Year's resolutions, that most of us will jump on this bandwagon. And, it's almost like we're going in this direction and January 1st comes on and we go in the opposite direction. And when you think about our mindset, and Christine's going to tap into this a little bit too, that um, I believe it was in the 1930s. There was the Journal of Social Psychology. The Journal of Social Psychology. Yeah. There was a study that was published that talked about change, right? And that change can take, in this study, there were like 400 people in this study. Change took between 18 days and 286 days, with 21 days not being the mean, but they mentioned this 21 days, right? All of a sudden, what do we hear? All over the place. It takes 21 days to build a habit. Well, it actually doesn't. For some people, yes, but for some people, it took 286 days, which is like 9 months. And as women, we are really good at nurturing everybody else around us. And then maybe if there's a little bit of gas in the tank, we might go for a walk or run ourselves a bath, right? We might. And so what we're doing today is we are learning that that future version of yourself that you might be craving or have been craving for years is possible. And we know this through lots of different research studies. And the one that I love the most is by Dr. Joe Dispenza. All right. And he says that of the 60 to 70,000 thoughts we have in a day, all right, and that's a reality, 80 to 90% of them are exactly the same as the thoughts we had yesterday. And not only that, but they're the same as the thoughts we had last week and last month and last year. And I usually anchor into this with lots of different trainings and master classes and webinars that I do, because I feel like it cracks open the opportunity to look at our bodies and our minds and our souls in a different way, right? That version of us that disappoints us every year, that we might, think, this is my year. I got a new pair of running shoes. I cleaned out my fridge. I'm ready to go. And then life throws you something and you find yourself in our comfort zone, which is our habits, right? So what Dr. Joe Dispenza is saying is we prefer to live in our familiar past because it's comfortable, versus becoming a version of ourselves that we haven't met yet. And it's kind of scary, right? And it might mean that you got to go deep and clear out some emotional baggage or some relationships in your life. I know during COVID, that was a really great time for me to have conversations And I did, and they were uncomfortable with some people that just they were just withdrawing and withdrawing, and there were no deposits back into my life. And I just decided that I wasn't going to be that person for them anymore. Like that, roll out the doormat. There's Jana, right? I can always dump on her. And so that's what it might mean for you. And so when you look at your personal wellness inventory, you're going to see that I started it off, and I would love for you to head into the chat, and I would love for you to share what were those three words that really defined 2024 for you. So let's just do 5 minutes. Just humor me. Pop into the chat. I'm going to share my three words for 2024, and I'd like you to share yours if you're comfortable with that. And if you didn't have a chance to do the worksheet, the first question is, what three words resonated with you that really kind of were the theme for you for 2024? Make sure I spell this right. So for me, my family in different ways, personally and business wise, it felt like a 12-month boot camp. And you couldn't leave. The door was locked, and the instructor kept pulling you back and saying, "No, do 10 more reps," right? And do 10 more reps and think, okay, I can go now, right? That's what 2024 felt like with, for me, my husband. We had one of our sons, we have two sons that are college golfers. One of them really realized that it wasn't the right path for him, and his emotional health was really suffering. And so he made the decision to come back to us in Mexico. And so, I was being pulled as a mom and pulled as a wife and pulled as an entrepreneur. So Lindy, exhausted, family health, very overwhelmed, worry, tiredness. Lisa, tired, stressed, unhealthy. Neek, discovery, self care, discomfort, curious. Karen, focused, determined, excited. Christine, change and positive, but reflecting back, I feel overwhelmed applied to 2024. Yeah, Michelle, exhausting, overwhelmed. Yeah. So, okay, here's the other thing that you're going to get to know about me. I love to have one foot firmly planted in science. Like, show me the research, show me the proof for all of these, show me the turmeric work, show me, right? Show me the 10,000 steps, right? And the other foot, I have firmly planted in this beautiful world of spirituality and trust and flow and astrology and numerology and all of these things that I lean into to become this whole person that I am becoming. All right. So, I believe that 2024 was, even though it was an 8 year in numerology, 2 plus 2 plus 4 is an eight. Eight is all about abundance, right? Uh, I think it was like, to put it for a lot of us, and pardon my language, an abundance of shitty situations that we had to navigate, right? Like, there's a shit storm. Oh, I made it. Oh no, there's another one. And I say that lovingly now, and I know that it's all for a purpose, right? I would never be in that victim state, but that impacts our health. I launched a new business in 2024, and I was under the impression, you know what, the Kevin Costner movie, Build It and They Will Come. Well, build it, and they kind of peeked in, and some people walk through the door. And so I'm learning, right? I'm learning. Do you think at 50 or 60 or 40 should we be done learning? No. And there's a part of me that feels like I'm just getting comfortable in my own skin. And so when you look at those in rituals, or I spilled the beans, those 20 statements on your sheet essentially are what I have come to know as in rituals, habits that become our superpowers that enrich our life. So those are our in rituals. All right. Christine alluded to this in my introduction, that I believe there are three very key components to movement and metabolism. Okay. Or metabolic health. And if you look at them as three different pathways, they're very linear. So, mindset, you start meditating, adding prayer before you eat, um, connecting with people, you will improve your health, right? When we improve our mindset, by virtue of that, our physical health improves. You start moving your body, your physical health improves. From a metabolic health perspective, you start getting 10 minutes of sunlight within the first 30 minutes. You get half your body weight in ounces in water in a day. Your metabolic health is going to start to improve linearly, right? But guess what I found from 30 years of working with women? When you take those three paths and you imagine that they're long locks of hair and you start braiding them together, they start amplifying each other. And so I want to share, we're going to get to your words for 2025 in a moment. We're going to see the shift. But I want to share, I created a what's in and a what's out for 2025. All right, when it comes to our health. So here's what I believe is in, all right, building muscle to support our metabolic health. I believe that women are scared to resistance train, to lift weights. They believe that they are going to get bulky, big and bulky. And society has told us that healthy is skinny. And I'm here to tell you, society got it wrong. All right. The bathroom scale did not get introduced to um, in our homes until the 1920s, and in fact, it was in the United States. It became a status symbol for white women. That's the history of the scale. All right, um, the scale actually tells us very little about the story of our body. It is a metric that doesn't deliver the information, us clarity and confidence that we need to move forward to better our health. It just doesn't. All right. Building muscle. And did you know that from age 30, we lose 1% of our muscle every single year? The more muscle we have, the more metabolically healthy we are. All right. The better we can manage blood glucose spikes when we eat, the better we can move, the better we can sleep. It all just plays one into the other. And so, what goes into this is my second point of mindful nutrition that prioritizes protein. Protein and protein and protein. I believe that calories in and calories out as a way to nourish our body is does not serve us, and it is out. Understanding protein, and we can talk about this a little bit later, but zero point 0.8 to 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight you are. And you might think, oh my God, that, like, what? I have to have like 150 grams of protein? I do. I do. I eat 150 grams of protein every single day with my fats and my carbs, obviously. So macros are macronutrients, protein, fats, and carbs. Those are in for 2025. Understanding how those fuel your body. Because simply, ladies, metabolism, the definition of metabolism is how efficient is your body at taking energy from food and converting it into energy for your cells. That's all it is, right? That's all it is. So that's why when you look at, a donut and a steak might have the same number of calories, but what do you think is going to be better at being converted from energy in that food to energy for your cells? The steak is going to win all day long, right? Boundaries. Okay. I can't tell you how many women that I've been working with that we've been working on boundaries. And if something doesn't feel like a hell yes, it's probably a no. And amazingly, how their sleep starts to improve. They start to release the inflammation that they thought was fat around their middle. Like, this is the stuff that actually changes how we look and feel. And you might think, well, how boundaries? That's not a physical thing. Oh, but it is. All right. Restorative practices, fascia release, lymphatic drainage. I just started doing gua sha on my face last week. My face, I had a bunch of broken capillaries the day after I woke up, and my husband rolled over and his eyes got really big. And I was like, what? He's like, there's something on your face. And so I went to the mirror, and my face was like all like blood vessely. It's better now, and I found out that that's part of gua sha. It's a it's a Japanese stone that you use on your face, but that's an example of a restorative practice, all right? Authentic connections and collaborations, right? It's the quality of the people around us. They are going to raise our frequency. Reconnecting and trusting your body's wisdom. Women have this innate wisdom, and we know, right? It's that gut feeling. Did you know that when you experience something, it's only a nanosecond, that experience hits your gut first, third? Did you know that? And by the time it hits your brain is fact checking. So that idea of I should have trusted my gut, right? Yeah, because our experiences hit us in our gut first. Home cooked meals, 10,000 steps a day, lymphatic drainage and fast release, like I talked. Here's what I think is out: overtraining, beliefs that exercise needs to be hard, that it needs to be an hour long. You need to have, sweat pit marks to make it worth it. No, no, and no, you do not. Obsessing over numbers that don't tell the whole story, a size on a pair of pants, a scale, ignoring stress and emotional triggers, people pleasing and overcommitting, our comparison culture. I love social media. I mean, I use it for my business all the time. Uh, and yet it is such a it puts a mask over our reality, what really is reality, right? And every time we pick up this damn phone, it's a dopamine hit, but not the kind of dopamine that actually fuels us in a different way. The idea that more is more, I have to do more to get more, dismissing hormonal changes, staying up late, and phone before bed. This is what I think is out. All right. I want to share something that I learned recently. It's this concept called pattern formatting. And the idea is that when there's a certain action that we do repetitively, that action happens, there's a reaction to it, and then there's the storage of that experience. So when we do a certain action repetitively, there's always an emotional reaction based on how it plays out. I think back to when our boys were in high school. Our boys are now 19, 21, and well, 24 tomorrow, our oldest will be. And our first was like diligent student, like, right? Our second, he liked to skip school. He did good in school, but he just couldn't be bothered. And so an example of this is in the morning at about 9:15 when I would get that automatic phone call on my phone that would say Centennial Collegiate, and I knew damn well that it wasn't a person on the other end, that it was the damn computer saying, "Your child, Will Danielson, is not in period 1," right? I would have this gut, like my stomach would start to turn, I would start to sweat. So this is what I mean by there's actions that create reactions, and then we store that, right? It's all subconscious, but it's like a movie playing in our mind. We don't even realize it's playing. And so this is the work of Gary Brecka. If anybody follows Gary Brecka, this is where I first learned this. I think he's brilliant. He was talking about men and women and how this pattern formatting impacts men versus women. And he says, in a month, men will take 151 of these mental images or Polaroids of themselves and store it. Okay, in a month, 151. I would love to know in the chat really quickly, what do you think the number is for women? How many of these mental images or photos do you think we take in a month? And I'll just wait for a few, 1,000 plus, 10 times that. Karen says 10. Okay. Is everybody sitting down? 1,360,000. 1,360,000. So my husband's a scientist. So I'm telling him this. I'm like, do you know what? Right. So he takes out his phone. He's like, that's like 23 a minute. That's impossible. And I'm like, no, you don't get it's unconsciously happening. It's unconsciously happening. So if we had frozen shoulder in our life and it's painful, it's hard to put our bra on, get our arm over our head. It even hurts to hug people. It's really easy to start calling that shoulder, this is my bad shoulder, right? My bad shoulder. This is my weak knee. Or maybe you have an old injury from basketball in high school and it still every once in a while rears its ugly head, right? We have a name for that injury. That ankle is actually going to become that. It's going to stay that because that's the frequency you're putting into it. So pattern formatting is critical to understand as we try and move through these moments in a new year to stick to this new you, right? New year, new you. There's so much more than that, and it's much simpler than we think. All right. So here, of course, let's talk about this sheet. All right. This is something that I hope you will hang on to. And I had people, I did this master class a few times this week, and some mentioned like, I'm gonna commit to doing this every single month, like a checkpoint. Or one woman said, I'm gonna do it quarterly. When I pay my taxes for my business, I'm also gonna do my personal wellness inventory. And so what you see there are 20 statements. And these are, like I said before, the rituals. These are simple habits that take minutes a day to incorporate. Now, you don't need to do 20 of them, but what if you could do 3 of them starting tomorrow? Or what if you could do 3 at the same time? What if you stood on the grass in the morning sun and did some big diaphragmatic breaths while you meditated? You just have 4 in rituals, and you might do that for 3 or 5 minutes. This is what plugs into our longevity. All right. The reason that I created a scale from 1 to 5 is to let your prefrontal cortex have a little bit of fun, right? Because our prefrontal cortex is like she's the auditor of our life, basically. So if you were fives in all these 20 statements, your score would be 100, right? It doesn't really mean much. All I want you to do is commit or play with this a little bit and see where some of your high ranking numbers are and see where some of the ones that are opportunities are. And these all 20 statements fit into either the mindset, the movement, or the metabolic health pillars. So you can look and see like, oh, geez, I'm really good in my movement. I'm fours and fives. I'm moving my body. I'm doing all these things. I'm doing some restorative work. Oh, look at this. I'm not putting my phone down 90 minutes before I want to be sleeping. I'm not really getting into the morning sun like I should be. Well, that's that metabolic health pillar. All right. Education is so empowering. And when you live that education and it becomes learning, it literally changes you from the inside out. Like your DNA will start to change. All right. So that's what this is. And that's how you can use it and make this masterclass live on and on and on. All right. Um, Christine, let's dive in here a little bit to these 3 pillars and let's talk about some of the really simple ways that we can. So, what's happening now, ladies, is there's we're going to go through like really some quick wins or low hanging fruit with mindset, movement, and metabolic health. And then I'm actually going to be making you an invitation. It's a $20 experience, and I want to have time at the end to take you through this Bloom Room experience. All right. So we went through, we kind of set the stage. You understand now more what mindset, movement, and metabolic health, how they work together. We know the concept of pattern formatting. Your worksheet now has those in rituals that you can, start to live, start to share with your family. Now we want to go a little bit deeper into some of the simple ways, not easy, but simple ways that you can start to shift into this new version of yourself in the mindset, movement, and metabolism pillars. So, Christine, go ahead.
Fabulous. Thanks so much, Jana. So, mindset is something that I'm quite passionate about. And I really started delving into the science of positivity and the science of mindset when my daughter Sophie was diagnosed with leukemia in 2016, because I really felt passionate about being able to help her from that pillar. And we've just identified a few key things here that we wanted to draw to your attention as things that you could think about incorporating this year. One of them is the science behind gratitude and the fact that your brain actually can't distinguish a difference between gratitude and success. And it creates this positive feedback loop. As you're feeling gratitude, your brain feels success, which actually helps to lead to more success in your life. And it's as simple as all the studies show, it's as simple as just spending 3 minutes a day focused on gratitude. So that could be literally writing out 3 things that you're grateful for in the day. And by the course of actually writing it, your brain is absorbing it on a deeper level as well. So that's something that you could consider incorporating. Also, I know a lot of people think of meditation as being this big scary thing that's got to take them, you know, 20 or 30 minutes and they've got to sit cross-legged on the floor saying and that's not the only way to view meditation. And it can be as simple as being seen as the space between your thoughts. And there are different ways that you can approach it. One of the ways that I personally like to do it is through movement, and I'm incorporating then two of the pillars in one. But we have a beautiful green space not far from where I live, where I often run into Lindy actually, out walking, where I'm forest bathing. I don't have my earphones in, I'm not listening to anything. I am just moving and experiencing, and I find that an active form of meditation that I really enjoy. But it could be something as simple as just focusing on colouring. That's been shown to be a very meditative, soothing practice. So if you find that meditation or an attempt to meditate can increase your cortisol levels because you're finding it more frustrating, then perhaps those are some ways that you can ease yourself into an appreciation of a more meditative state. And I did a course through, this one was through Harvard, all about the um, ancient Chinese philosophers. The course was actually about what they have to teach us in our day to day existence. And it blew my mind the the wisdom that these people from centuries ago brought to the world. And this is one of my favorite quotes, which also happens to be one of Jana's, because Jana actually wrote this slide. And I'm going, oh my goodness, no wonder we're friends, Jana. But it's Lao Tzu said, watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. So Lao Tzu is my favorite ancient Chinese philosopher and really gives a lot in that quote to the world about the power of these in rituals. So back over to you, Jana, for stereoscopic vision.
Hey, thank you, Christine. So, I wanted to put a few slides in between that 1,360,000, those Polaroids that were taken in the back of our mind, because there is a way that we can shift. All right. It's called stereoscopic vision. So did you know that, well, first of all, what stereoscopic vision is, it's the ability of our brain to visibly register three-dimensional shapes. And when we are 6 feet back from our mirror, the brain will automatically remove imperfections. Okay. So through our eyes, if we have, like, let's say we have, well, on Monday morning when I had like a whole bunch of broken capillaries, right? I mean, in my mind, I knew they were still there, but when I stepped back, they were harder to see. This is a very powerful way to interrupt the pattern formatting that we talked about a few minutes ago. All right. Eventually, you will end this. And so, what I've been doing for the past couple of weeks since I've learned this, and the video, I was watching one of Gary Brecka's videos, and he actually had 4 statements that he shared. And I was like, I'm just going to utilize those 4 statements because they really resonate with me right now. And so you can create your own 4 statements. He encourages you to do this like once you're ready for your day so that you're ready, right? Like your hair is done, you've washed your face and brushed your teeth and you got your clothes on for the day, standing in your like Wonder Woman stance with good posture. So what I say every morning now before I leave our bedroom, I say, I am beautiful. And today I even gave myself a little wink. Like I'm starting to actually like interact with myself in the mirror, like you're beautiful. Wink, right? And then I say, I was created by God. I am wealthy. I am here on this planet for a purpose, and that purpose is to improve the well-being of women. And then today I did like a little a little Instagram post thing, and away I went to start my day. And I just feel so I feel so different walking through the frame of our bedroom door for these past few weeks. And I'm like, I love this, right? I love giving myself a little bit of a boost. So, when it comes to movement, those are a few, like I said, a few things you can just incorporate into your life. Did you know that when we breathe using our diaphragm muscle, now our diaphragm is our main muscle of respiration. It kind of sits right here under our rib cage. And my love for pelvic floor fitness, I have a product called the Cooch Ball. When I started learning about our core, so when you think about movement and you think, I got to do a core workout, you might think I got to do some sit ups or go and do some planks, right? But the reality is, our core is our diaphragm on top, our pelvic floor muscles on the bottom, our four sets of abdominals that create the cylinder, and the pelvic floor, the 14 muscles that make up the pelvic floor, and the diaphragm when you watch a newborn baby breathe, right? The beautiful rising and falling of that belly with every breath, we lose that. And especially as women, we lose that early on because of trying to be as narrow as we can, right? Trying to be as tall as we can. We end up trying to just it's forced, right? And so what happens is we actually start becoming collarbone breathers and we don't get the air into the diaphragm. So over time, when the diaphragm doesn't move because it's the roof of the pelvic floor doesn't see any movement above it, so it actually stops moving. So it either becomes hypotonic, too weak, or too tight, hypertonic. But when we breathe in through our nose, and out through our mouth, in that moment, we're taking in 600% oxygen, which is amazing for our cells. And if we're not in this habit, but I invite you to start it. You're actually, just so you know, physiologically, you're going to get a little bit lightheaded weekend days while your brain gets used to living in an environment with oxygen. So we are often oxygen deprived. That's where a lot of our brain fog, the little bit of low grade headache above the brow line or at the hairline can simply be either dehydration or a lack of oxygen to the brain. All right. When we breathe that way, we release a molecule called nitric oxide. And this is really important because nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It dilates our blood vessels, it allows blood to flow, right? Our blood is taking nutrients throughout our body. Um, and here's a fact that I was going to say Ozempic, but that's the wrong thing. Viagra and Cialis, which are erectile dysfunction drugs, they are lab made high dose nitric oxide capsules. So that's why when men take this, they could have an erection for hours because they have this super highly concentrated, non natural dose of nitric oxide, and their blood vessels are like open, like they are open for business, right? So we do this on our own just by breathing in through our nose and out through our mouth. Then our lymphatic system, it's our garbage disposal system of our body, like our heart is the pump for our circulation. Our lymphatic system, or unlike our lymphatic system doesn't have a heart. So unless we're moving and breathing, our lymph, which is throughout our entire body, but more highly concentrated through our neck, under the armpits, in the groin, behind the knees. And think about when we're sitting during the day, the lymph at our hip is being impacted. The lymph behind our knees is being impacted. We probably have a little bit of forward rounded shoulders. The lymph in and around our armpits is being impacted. We have that forward rounded posture. So we become like stale, like that. Those toxins are not moving out of our body. And so simple things like tapping, right? Tapping throughout your whole body can get that lymph moving. Going for a walk, moving your arms while you're walking, taking those deep breaths, those are all ways that you can get your lymph to work for you. And I want to share one thing. I was noticing in my body that I was getting really like puffy bags under my eyes just like in December. And I was like, what is going on? Right. And I do my dry brushing, I do my lymph stuff, but I was like, I'm going to go a little bit deeper with this. And so I started doing a spot under my armpit. Like I kind of take my middle finger, and when you lift your elbow up, your armpit kind of gets a little bit of a dome. And I've been like massaging. It's not comfortable, but I've been massaging in that area on both sides. And of course, like now my gua sha. I have noticed a huge difference in my eyes in the past 7 days because even those days you have a puffy face, like when you, if you've been traveling or you're retaining fluid, that puffy face is a lymph issue. You didn't just gain 10 pounds of weight. Your lymph, your fluid is just not moving through your body. And this is like, I could shout this from the rooftops. This is the biggest piece that women need to learn is that most of what we think is weight that we're carrying unnecessarily and we can't get rid of, it's actually inflammation. It's actually inflammation. All right. From a metabolism perspective, 5 minutes of sunlight within 30 minutes of waking to support your circadian rhythm. That's going to give you the blue light of the sun in the morning. In the afternoon, if you can get back outside, natural light, that's the amber, the orange, right? And that's an anchor, another anchor for your circadian rhythm. Putting down our tech 90 minutes before we want to be sleeping, grounding, feet on the earth, and then starting to hydrate within 30 minutes of waking is really important because you actually wake up your thirst mechanism. Okay. The longer it takes you in your day to take your first sip of water, the less likely your thirst mechanism is going to remind you that you should drink water because you're already going to be in a dehydrated state. All right. So in the morning, I don't take my copper. I have like a strategy. Do you guys want to know my strategy? So before I go to bed, I take this Swell bottle. It's a 17-ounce bottle and I fill it. And I always have salt. I have a it's not Mediterranean salt. It's off the coast of Cabo. It's very good salt. If there's one thing that I'm snobby about, it's salt. I am a salt snob. I will say that. All right. I put my salt in here. I take it up to bed. This is empty. By the time I'm telling myself how beautiful I am, this is empty. All right. Then I come downstairs and I fill my 32-ounce copper water bottle, right? Because we're hearing all these great things about copper and putting it actually neutralizes any impurities in the water and it adds minerals to it. All right. So I just got this off Amazon. Actually ordered two, one for me, one for my husband, I think. And it was when we were in Canada. I think it was like 40 Canadian dollars for two of them. And then I go back, so I go back and forth, right, between these two. And it makes a huge difference from a bloating and inflammation perspective. So hydration, and your body uses hydration in a priority system. Your brain gets hydrated first, your vital organs get hydrated second, your muscles, your fascia, your bones, your joints, your nerves get hydrated last. So if you are trying to heal or you have some bursitis or your arthritis is acting up or you've got this little kink in your back that's not going away, you're going to put yourself at a less optimal position for healing if you're not properly hydrated because those tissues are getting the end of the hydration train basically. Okay. So before I want to take you on a little tour of what I've created, and this is one of the things that you know, having Christine as a friend and like leaning on her, saying like, "This is what I'm doing. What do you think?" Right? And so I'm excited to share with you what we have to offer. But what I would love to know from you now is to pop back into the chat and share your three 2025 words. Let's just set the tone for 2025. Okay, Neek, finding myself, accountability, discipline. I said love, joy, trust. Christine said spark, that's great. Unstoppable, excited. Lindy said positive, change, fun. Lisa, hopeful, anxious but excited. Um, what do I The brain also doesn't discern, and Christine, correct me on this, the brain also doesn't discern between nervousness and excitedness. I learned that, or I read that once. And so oftentimes, when I am really nervous, I just swap out the words and I'll say, to whoever is around, like, I am so excited about this call I'm going on to, right? Just to remind myself that that I can reframe that. So where did we get to? Very intentional, education, positivity, hopeful, time, complete. Okay, ladies, can you feel the shift in that? Okay, there's something beautiful about new. There's also something beautiful about women coming together. We are meant to be in community, right? This idea of the independent woman that we have to do everything on our own, it does not serve us. That is not how we were designed, right? It takes a village. That's us. It takes a village. And so I want to show you the village that I've created. And we want to invite you to do like a little, is there Costco in Australia? Yeah, there must be Costco. Do you guys have like Costco is the grocery store? Yeah, yeah. Or no?
We do have them, but they're a bit few and far between, so many of us haven't ever been to one.
Okay, so at Costco, they always have like these little samples. And so you'll take a bite of like the sweet potato cracker. And then before you know it, you have the 10-pound bag of sweet potato crackers in your cart. And you're like, I didn't even come for sweet potato crackers, right? So, what I'm about to show you is like the little sample, okay? The little sample of what I feel is missing when it comes to health and wellness, all right? So, the Bloom Room experience is my community membership, all right? For the last 2 years, actually, another gift of COVID, besides meeting Christine, I met another amazing woman from Utah named Christy Holt. And Christy's company is called Vibonics. And for the last 10 years, Christy, who used to sell solar panels and got so intrigued by how we take the energy from the sun and convert it to energy to light our lights and run our dishwashers, right? That she started doing courses on energy and frequency and emotion. And that's like the roots of her business, Vibonics. And so when I met her, she was already well into her journey. And she created an a voice recognition piece of technology that in a 15-second sample of your voice, the AI algorithm, which is called predictive AI, so it's about 80% correct, all right? It's not 100%, but about 80% correct. This AI can identify through the frequencies of your voice 6 expansive emotions like love, like confidence, like peace, and then 6 restrictive emotions like anger, like loneliness, like fear of losing our identity. And I was like, oh my God, I was so curious, so intrigued, right? And so I brought my husband and our oldest son in, and I was like, listen, this is really cool. And of course, my boys were playing golf at a high level, and I was like, let's work with this. And so what we did was from the voice sample, we created an avatar that has you're either in your head vibe, your heart vibe, or your aligned vibe based on your results. Now, when you get your results, it doesn't tell you like if your anger line is really long, it doesn't mean right now in this moment you are an angry person. What it means is subconsciously there is some anger that has not been dealt with that you have pushed off to the side. And anger, as I've learned through Christy, fear and anger are the two biggest teachers that we have. Asking questions of anger or fear, having a conversation with it. And what I have found in using this for myself now for 2 years, and I just launched this in October, is that my body is actually changing because my mind is changing. All right. So would you like to see a little demonstration of Orchid? Can I share this with you? Let me just get to the right screen.
Dana, I say this is like a window into my subconscious when I use
Yes.
Orchid. It blows my mind.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to share my sound. So wait, actually, you know what? Sometimes I have too many words and I just need to take action. Okay. Here we go. I am graceful ease. 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 All right. So now This is where the algorithm comes in, right? It's sorting through the data that's in the frequency of my voice. And what you're going to see come up is the dashboard with the avatar in the middle, the expansive emotions on the left, and the restrictive emotions on the right. You're not going to see like a numbered score, but like I said, you're going to see the head vibe, the heart vibe, and the aligned vibe. All right, you guys are getting a window into my soul right now. So I'm right now in my head vibe. So you'll see it says it might feel helpful at first because it lets you think deeply, but it's not something you can keep up for long. It's like using up your brain power without paying attention to how you feel, and it can make you feel tired and drained. So I can look at this and be like, but I'm not stressed. Or I can say, like, look at that. Look at that fear of losing identity. What is that? Let's feel into that. Well, I've been holding space for my husband as his business has literally been crumbling before our eyes. Our son came home from college mid-semester. Another one is going back to college next. Like there's just all these dynamics in our family and this is what I get to have these conversations with myself and not try and have like all of my lines in the expansive emotions green and all of the lines in my restrictive emotions not green. That's not it at all. This is just a beautiful way to start to get into what's going on in my body, in my mind. So then what we've done is the algorithm chooses basically a multisensory experience for you. So you can choose 3, 6, or 9 minutes. We'll just do a quick one here. And then we partnered with two amazing Americans, one who does brain entrainment and uses tones to really connect the left and right hemisphere of the brain, or we connected with a amazing friend of ours from Phoenix, Arizona, Jason Campbell, and he is a beautiful composer. So I'm going to choose rhythm because the tone is kind of hard to hear like this. We're not going to do the whole 3 minutes, but I just want to show you what happens now. Okay, I'm just going to stop it there because I want to we're going to just bump over a little bit in time, but I want to be respectful of your time. When you watch that, the videos are made up of mindset, movement, and metabolism, little videos and pictures. And the one thing that our brain, when we live in a home that is all symmetrical, um, and we don't allow ourselves to be in the chaos of nature as much as we should, our brain craves that because when our brain sees chaos, it gets to work by organizing it. When we are in a symmetrical environment, hour after hour, that's why we get exhausted, right? We get disconnected because our brain doesn't have to do its work. When you're done your 3 minutes, you get an option of leaving a voice journal for yourself. So you can go in, name the journal, the date, or like, this is my amazing day. And you can talk about what's been going on in your life, your hope, like whatever. You just leave it for yourself. And then you can go back and listen to it. So that is Orchid. And when in this Bloom Room experience, 7-day access for $20, you will get 7 days access of Orchid. All right. The other thing that you are going to get is workouts with this cat. All right. So I've created something called the BFF. Okay. It could be best friends forever, but it is body fit and body fix. All right. So let me show you this dashboard. Now, body fix are workouts designed for women with osteoporosis, osteopenia, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, bulging disc, herniated disc, returning to movement after a hiatus, returning to movement after an injury. I got you. You don't have to worry about anything being like a contraindication. Okay, that's the body fit workouts. And then the body fix are a little bit amplified for bodies that don't live with those conditions. Okay, I want to just show you the two. So this is what the dashboard will look like. And just this is my dashboard. So there's some things that won't be on yours. Um, okay, so here's the body fix workout. So you get 7 days of workouts. You just click on, there's some Pilates, there's a little bit of resistance training. This one called Bliss is amazing. It's a body scan. There's a standing Pilates class. So this is part of what you would get, body fix. And then the body fit are, like I said, I'm going to say the workouts for bodies that don't have any of those conditions: Pilates sculpt, Pilates burn. There's a progressive high intensity interval training. There's one I call LOL, lots of legs. So you can play around with both. It doesn't mean if you don't have those conditions, you can't do body fix. Now, our newest addition is something called the kitchen. All right. And I alluded to this earlier that calories in, calories out do not serve. So in this 7 days, I've worked with when I used to own a Pilates studio and an integrated health therapies clinic in Canada. I sold that when we moved down to Mexico, and I reconnected with my holistic nutritionist that worked with me at my clinic. And Justine and I created the kitchen. So what we have done is we have added two different macro plans, 7 days worth. So if you're a vegetarian, there's the Veggie Vibrance. If not, there's the Metabolic Magic. Okay. So you will have access to, oh gosh, there we go. Um, the grocery list, 7 breakfasts, 7 lunches, 7 suppers or dinners. My Canadian came out, all the snacks. You will also get access to any of the replays. Once a month, I do what's called a What's the Buzz, our monthly group coaching calls. This all comes for you, and you get to try it for 7 days. All right. Know that I'm going to be in your inbox for 7 days cheering you on. So I've recorded little mini videos where I'm like, all right, we can't eat an elephant all at once. It's one piece at a time. So today, let's start with this, right? And then today, let's add this. So you can go like full on this or follow the system I bring to you in your emails every morning. So you get to not be like overwhelmed and you get to really, really experience this. All right. I do want to tell you that on day 5, it's a longer video in your inbox because I'm going to tell you about the full community of the Bloom Room experience and what that looks like. Okay. The biggest change is that the kitchen, if you decide to join us long term, you're going to actually get a custom or you're going to get a quiz, a macro quiz sent to you. You're going to answer the quiz and you're going to get your custom macro plan. This one, I put the Metabolic Magic macro plan in. It's a good foundational plan. And then of course I put the Veggie Vibrance. But that's what we have for you. We have 7 days of Orchid, 7 days of the Body Fit and the Body Fix, and 7 days of the kitchen with your, I'm trying to do two things at once. I want to bring you back here. All right, so that's it. This is the Bloom Room experience. And this is what I believe out of my 30 years of working with women, I feel like I'm getting it right. The women that joined me in October. So the Bloom Room experience isn't open 24/7. There's only certain times in the year that it's open and then we close it. So the first intake joined with Christine and I at the end of October. We are hearing amazing changes in mindset, clothes fitting better, sleeping through the night. Um, you know, these women have also got my Cooch ball, so they're getting improved pelvic floor performance. not leaking when they cough or sneeze. And so we just want to open this up for you to see what it feels like when you dip your toe in this world and let go of the no pain, no gain. Let go of the restricted eating. Let go of this belief system that I'm either on the wagon or I'm off the wagon. There's no wagon. All right. So, Christine, I can put the link. I know Christina's going to send everybody the replay in an email. She's also going to send you the link for the Bloom Room experience. Um, I also can, if anybody, let me just, oh, I have it pulled up here. Um, this is this is Christine's link for the Bloom Room experience. So $20 US for 7 days of access. All right. We have this offer open until the 16th of January. And then it's going to go away because we're closing the Bloom Room and we're going to open it again in March. All right. So I know we're over time, Christine, or anybody have questions or comments? Christine, do you want to pop back on?
Just, it's just kind of mind blowing, really, what you're able to provide in all the pillars of all the support that we need in all the different areas to make sure that we're on track. And I just think that's amazing rather than isolating things and missing out on other things. And I can't believe that there's an opportunity. I'm very grateful to you for giving people the opportunity to try it for $20. Um, and that's US dollars, so it's a little different once we convert it, but it's just great opportunity for people to get in and see, and um, I know they'll have fun playing with Orchid, and I know that they will get so much out of it if they just press play on your Body Fix or Body Fit wherever they're at in their journey. I just know the reason I wanted to get as many people to be a part of this mastermind and to watch this call is that I know that you can help everybody improve wherever they're at. So I just think that I just wanted to let as many people know about you as I could. You're
Amazing.
the answer to a lot of people's um, need, I think.
Thank you. You know, what really at the heart of all of this, ladies, is that when we can fall in love with ourselves, maybe again, or maybe for the first time for some of us, it is magic what can happen to our health. And because we are the glue for our families, for our, our workplaces, our communities, this is our time. Like I feel like there's this momentum building back to, I alluded to it earlier, like the divine feminine, the it takes a village, and it's these really returning to these basic practices and that our grandmothers did. They got in community, they were out in the sunshine, they were they didn't have probably how many generations ago didn't have a fridge full of food the first thing in the morning. They had to go actually and get their food and then prepare it, right? So I am so grateful, Christine, that you invited me into your community. I know that this is like the first seeds that we are planting. And if anybody has any questions, please, reach out to Christine. She can connect you with me. I have a Telegram group called the Blooming Babes. We'll make sure that we put that link. Just wait, if I can get it fast enough, I can put it here. So this is a free Telegram group. I'm in it daily. And if you have any questions, it's a great place to come and ask. Leave your question. Copy link. Okay, Blooming Babes. This should be it. I can put that in the chat. Thank you for coming and thank you for staying a little bit over time. And again, Christine, thank you. I just love you to pieces. And thank you for allowing me to come here and, share my love
Thank you
for helping
for
empower
doing
women.
this. Thank you for doing this for my community, the people in my life, and they all know that I love doing what I can to make a positive difference. And I know that if they listen to what you have to share, that it's going to do just that. So
Mm.
very, very happy, and we'll definitely have you back again in March, and I look forward to whatever we can do then. But thank you for those of you who have joined us live today. Very grateful to have you here, and I know that many of you will be watching the replay. So I hope to see you in the Bloom Room, because secret to a lot of my radiance and my success is this amazing woman, Jana. So I
Mm.
just want to get as many of you in the same sphere with her as possible, because I know it's going to make a difference to you as well. So thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.